Dr. Bowins, we're here to discuss your book, At the Tipping Point, How to Save Us from Self-Destruction. What are we at the tipping point of?
We're at the tipping point of several social and environmental justice, or perhaps I should say injustice issues. With the environmental, obvious one is global warming, where temperatures are rising to a point where we might not be able to actually get things back on track. In regards to social injustice, the monopolization of wealth and how that links to the whole free-for-all economic model that we're in. And those two actually do relate very closely, as I explained in the book.
What topics does your book, At the Tipping Point, How to Save Ourselves from Self-Destruction, touch on?
The topics are greed, regulation, or as I call it, irregular regulation, development, both resource and urban, global warming, research bias, and that's taking a look both at industrial and biotech. Pharmaceutical is a big focus there. Obesity, we have an obesity epidemic, and also how our psychological defense mechanisms, while protecting us, sometimes pull the wool over our eyes in a sense, and we don't see the reality of what is occurring.
Do you really believe that we're acting in a self-destructive fashion?
Yes, one of the insights for this came from my own practice doing work as a psychiatrist, where I see people who act in this way, that they'll ignore a lot of evidence, they'll spin things in a way that justify or rationalize what they're doing. Think about what we're doing now with a lot of things we're facing, such as the ridiculous monopolization of wealth, the way that the economy just emphasizes endless growth, hyper-consumerism, the global warming. We frequently ignore the evidence and spin it in a way that everything will be just fine. So it is self-destructive in that fashion.
So do you see any hope for us?
Absolutely. I wrote the title as How to Save Us from Self-Destruction because I believe there are very definite solutions. I wouldn't have wrote the book if it were just to be negative about it, that there are really definite solutions. A good example being with global warming. We're pouring a lot of carbon into the atmosphere from industrial activity. And one way to manage it, even if we don't radically change in the short term our production of it, is to ramp up the soil carbon sink. Because that's the fast carbon sink, or the way to get carbon out of the atmosphere. And the way to do that is to replace our major annual crops with perennials. It's a solution that can definitely work. The science is there for it. It could even be done in 20 to 30 years according to experts, and there's almost no focus on it whatsoever. So I'm trying to give real hope answers. And one of the reasons I did this too is some of these issues are they're so diffuse. They're out there. I mean, it's amazing. All the information's out there about it. Nothing's really hidden. But you have to be able to research it and tie the threads together. And that's one of the reasons I did this, is to do the work for people, tie it together, see how everything is interconnected, and if we deal with the various components, the overall solution can come together.